Alright, what you see here is a Encon Crayon ceiling fan. It's a 48-inch fan that is pretty uncommon, but at the same time it's not extremely hard to find. What makes them kind of harder to find is that since they're a crayon fan, a lot of people like to hold on to these versus other oldie color fans of some sort. And this is actually one that tends to hold up in value since it's crayons and such. They're not the best made fan, of course. I mean, they are made by Encon, or they are an Encon fan, but they still are pretty decent performers. These are childhood fans for me in the sense that I did see one of these on a TV show as a kid on Nickelodeon. It was called Action League Now. Basically, it was like a stop motion action figure type thing. It was like a Justice League, but basically with action figures. And there was one episode that one of the action figures got caught on the spinning ceiling fan, and it was one of these. I didn't notice that it had crayon blades. I think they might have had them reversed the other way in the episode. I'm not 100% sure. But the figure of the motor is what really stuck out to me. Yeah. Now, the pull chains are not original to this fan. The original ones were nowhere to be found. I just figured I'd put these on since I figured they look nice on it. But yeah. It's a very unique design. Not even just the blades, just the motor itself. It's very unique. Something I can see with newer fans nowadays in terms of design. So simple looking, and there's a lot of simple looking fans nowadays. So I feel like this could definitely work with today's designs and such. Now, this fan is from May of 1993. I picked it up with Nathan. Originally, I was planning to get it another time, but I ended up getting it sooner. So, yeah. It's not in the best shape. The blades are a bit scratched in some areas. And the blade holders were holding it from the bottom, so you do see a bit of discoloration on each of the blades. But they're not in the worst condition. And I did have to bend all the blades up a bit except for the yellow one. The other three were a bit droopy. They're pretty flimsy blade arms, so I was being careful not to bend them too much. I got them to the point where it looks more presentable. They were basically looking like a Huntington almost, that's how bad they were. So yeah, let me go ahead and show the light. There's the fan pull there. Now they did have another model, like basically the same configuration as this, except in a white finish and with normal looking blades. It's actually one of my favorite looking fans from the 90s in terms of design. I know these are pretty childhood fans for many collectors, including fan collector Brian Peterson, better known on YouTube as Cleveland Fan Collector. Shut off the lighting around me to give it a test. It doesn't light up the room that much, but I am just using a regular 60 watt, since usually that's what people would put in something like this, especially if it came with one brand new in the box. I think I just do that. If you were to put like a 100-watt light bulb in it, it would probably do a lot better. But I think maybe to see how it does with just one bulb in it. But yeah, these pull chains are from the ones I used to have in my Passport 2 at the old apartment in the bedroom. Originally they're from the Kenmore, which I still have both of them. And they definitely both long due for a remake. I figured these would look nice on it, although the chain's not the same color as the chains on the fan, but I figured it would kind of look similar to like the Mainstays 42-inch Rainbow Hugger in terms of like color combination. Plus they're the only ones I figured out would look nice on it, on this fan with the crayon theme. Now it's a 48-inch fan, and from what I've heard, these are pretty good performers for an Encon fan, and from what I've seen with it, after testing it so far, it's definitely a pretty decent performer. I'm going to get this up earlier in September of this month, earlier this month, but I couldn't find a bracket of it, and I already have other stuff scheduled to be released, so I figured I'll post this. This will be public by the end of September. I think it'll be kind of coinciding with the back to school and such, like since everybody's going back to school, but it's going to be a very different time for everybody with school this year due to COVID. Surprisingly, I got the blades in a pretty good alignment though, considering how one of them was like way up there. It's not humming too much. At the same time, the Encon that was in this basement now, so with the other side on the rubber things for the mounting bracket were very worn out, and that's what was causing it to hum so much. I'm just gonna put more of those rubber things in between on the mounting bracket, and that should help it out. But it has a nice low speed to it. I know Brian, he told me that he had one of these in his bedroom as a kid, and he was definitely interested in it. So Brian, if you're watching this right now, if I ever do start this fan's definitely, you're definitely first in line for this. But yeah, it's definitely a cool fan. It's one I've been wanting to get for a while. Mark Wilson had one new in the box that he ended up selling on eBay. Tommy Bonin, better known as the Fan Page, had one as well, and he doesn't even remember what happened to it. Yeah, I was gonna try to buy that one off him, but I guess we just forgot about it completely, both me and him. But yeah, it's I like the look of it, especially the motor. It's what I find very unique. I mean, the whole blue portion is the motor itself. It's not like the bottom portion spins and the rest of it above it, it's like the housing. The whole entire thing is the motor, so it's a pretty decent sized motor to it. Let me just so you can see that whole entire blue portion is the motor. So it's like a spinner motor fan, but as a hugger. That's what I kind of find interesting with it. Not sure if the way. I do wish that there were more hugger fans like these throughout the 90s being sold. Now I know these are pretty uncommon in a sense, though I can only imagine how uncommon the plain version of this is. Now if anything was to get broken on this, like a blade arm, blades, the glass, like it would be pretty tricky to find parts for these since they're kind of just made specifically for this fan. It's definitely a cool fan to have like in a game room of some sort, or like a school, classroom, daycare, or as a crafts room. I mean, with the Crayon theme, definitely would look cool in like an arts room of some sort in a school. Believe it or not, I actually do like how these look with the wooden pull chains on it, the teardrop ones versus the Encon ones. I don't know why, I just think they look nicer on it. I also feel like the metal, I feel like the pull chains were to bounce back and forth, can like hit the globe and break it. And that's something I definitely would not want to happen, because finding a replacement globe for this will be very, very difficult. All right, now we'll move it up to medium. But yeah, I remember from what the seller told me, they moved into the house, and it was in the bedroom, and they just didn't want a fan in there. I don't want a Crayon themed one, so they just decided to sell it. Thankfully, they weren't asking too much for it. A lot of people try to price these pretty high because it's a Crayon fan, and although it's not something that you see all the time, it's definitely like not worth a few $100s new, for example. There's some people who think these are worth a whole lot. They have some value to them, especially for a kids fan, but they're not that valuable. I mean, it's definitely a market for these without a question, but not like some people think there is. But I mean, I know these show up on eBay from time to time, so but to find one at the right price is the tricky part. Would have been cool to have a box for it, but like the original box that these order came with. But I already have a few Nuance box fans that I probably will have to break the boxes to them. It's common fans, not like the more uncommon stuff, but like especially if they're not in the best shape because they do take up more space with the box, and especially at the storage unit. It's definitely moving a good amount of air on the medium speed. It's funny, the motor, without the blades on it, definitely had some bearing noise to it, so I'm surprised that it's pretty quiet while it's in motion. It's usually the case of quite a bit of my fans that have hissy bearings to them when I spin it without the blades on them. Usually they just like that because they don't have the blades on it, but then once the fans like put up with and has the blades attached to them, they're pretty quiet. It's a good thing, 'cause I was afraid that this fan would be a bit noisy with the bearings in, that it could hum a bit, because some of the Hugger fans I test on here, especially the more cheaper ones like this, tend to hum a bit more. But this one's pretty quiet. It's not humming that much, just a tiny bit. The bearings are pretty quiet, considering how hissy they are. Alright, I'm gonna go ahead and move it up to the high speed. Yeah, it's really not that noisy, thankfully. And here's high. Definitely does go pretty fast on the high speed. And it's not the fact that it's a rainbow fan that makes me think it is. I mean, it has a pretty beefy sized motor for it too, so it's for a 48-inch fan. I mean, heck, some 52-inch fans don't even have that big of a spinner motor to them. I gotta say though, it definitely is pushing a pretty good breeze. It's definitely moving more air than I thought it would. I actually thought I was gonna have to oil it a tiny bit because even though I spun it, it seemed just a tiny bit stiff, but by the looks of it, it doesn't seem to need any oil to it at all. Yeah, it's definitely moving a pretty good amount of air without a question. It's not Hunter air movement. Well, I don't know. I mean, it's definitely a Hunter air movement. It's probably like about Hampton Bay-ish, like the upper Hampton Bay air movement, I could say, or Harbor Breeze. Definitely not as much as a Hampton Bay Cameron or like the Windward, but it's definitely not bad for what it is. I mean, it is moving. I am feeling air from it all the way over here. And usually some of the fans that are this size don't move that much air in the spot that I am in. Like, I don't feel that strong of a breeze. Some of the 52-inch fans I've tested, I don't feel this strong of a breeze from them over here either. Yeah, it's not bad. It's like, I mean, it's definitely not spinning with a Hunter, despite it having a pretty large motor to it, but almost, I could say. Like, it's maybe about the same as like a Coastal Breeze or something. But it definitely isn't moving bad air. Same time, it might feel like it's moving less because it is a bit humid today, so it might be that's making it feel like it's not moving as much. I mean, it is moving a good amount of air, don't get me wrong. It's just, I've heard that these are very good performance for what they are. So it could just be this, or maybe it's just, I was expecting it to be even more than what it really is. How much? Who knows? But like for an Encon type fan, like Westinghouse thing, it really is a better performing one though, without a question. And shut off and do spin down. Put on reverse so I don't forget. But yeah, it's definitely a better performing fan than I thought it would be. At the same time, I did think it was going to move more air and such, but for what it is, being a very cheaply made fan, it definitely does perform a lot better than I thought it would. No, I was not expecting it to be like as good as like a like Hunter fan of some sort, like not the budget Hunter ones. I mean, it's like almost the same as a Coast Breeze, but a little bit less. But like, it's definitely a better performing fan than most of those home center fans out there. It's like in between like home center, almost budget showroom air movement. It's like in between that category in terms of air movement. Oh, you know, on camera it definitely looks to be in a lot better condition, but in person I can see a few of the scratches. Although, I mean, it is in a darker room, so it kind of makes the color of the fan stand out a lot more. That was my first time testing a rainbow fan without that light above it on. That would cause glare with the older test videos I would do. Definitely, I have to bring back the other rainbow fans, like the carousel, the home trends one that I tested down here and retest those as well. Oh, in due time, though. But yeah, I figured this would be like a good fan to post like in September. It's like back to school session and such. Would have had it posted earlier, but there's other stuff that went up at first because I could not find the mounting bracket fits for a little while, so I had to postpone getting this one up earlier. It was like already midway into September by the time by the time I'm already recording this, so unfortunately I couldn't have gotten it up earlier, but I did want to get it up before September ends. But yeah, for those who are going to be doing a lot of remote learning this year in schools, definitely try your best. definitely going to be different for everybody. I mean, I had to do remote learning for college for my last semester before graduating, and it was definitely different, but definitely don't slack off. That's my advice to all of you out there. A lot of people might feel like, oh, we're home, we don't have to work as hard. Because depending on the teacher, they might make it a bit easier, some might make it harder, and you definitely don't want to get too comfortable. That's basically what I'm trying to say. And then they could throw a curveball at you and catch you off guard, and then you could fail. You know, there's a lot of teachers that are trying to get used to this new setup as well. So definitely, I know teachers aren't always the most willing people, but they're humans too. So definitely try to remember that, and they're trying to adjust to this new lifestyle for the time being that we're all going through. So definitely ease up on them. Like, try to cut them some slack, I guess I could say. Like, because definitely, with my mom being a teacher, for an example, I already know that some of them who aren't tech savvy, it's completely a new field for them and such. And since I am trying to go into the teaching field at some point, so that's kind of on hold with the COVID situation. I mean, it is and it isn't, but it might be a bit trickier in some ways. But yeah, all I can say is just keep your head up. Try to keep trying, even though you're at home for the most part learning. I mean, it depends on the region. I know there's a lot of areas that are given the option and such. Some people are going back. Just stay safe. That's the biggest thing, and keep trying as hard, even if you're learning from home. Do as much as you can, like put all of your effort in it, because it will definitely show in the work. And teachers do notice when people are trying and when they don't. And sometimes you might not understand the material completely, but if you always show that you're trying, a lot of times the teachers will give you a break and give you extra points and such. As long as you explain yourself well and such and certain questions. But yeah, and that'll be it for this video. Thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed, and stay tuned for more videos to come.